What's up? It's your boy, 24/7 here with 24/7 Fusion Media. I saw this yesterday and I was quite shocked to see that Marvel and DC forbid creators from profiting off of NFTs. And my whole thing to this was, why is this even happening? So Bloomberg says the big two are doing something that could retroactively be a slap in the face to Jack Kirby, who tried hard to regain the rights to his art drafts in his past work when he was around, but only managed to regain barely half of them. I didn't know that about Jack Kirby, but all right. It'll surprise few that after a digital mosaic sold for $69 million in March as an NFT or non-fungible token, comic book giants Marvel and DC informed their artists they shouldn't try the same with the likes of Black Widow or Batman. Some of those artists, along with dealers and analysts in the wider industry, say it's a significant blow and their livelihoods are less certain as a result. So basically, for those that don't know, NFTs in the sense of comic books would basically be when a comic book artist would draw, for an example, a comic book page. And after that page has been published in the comic book that it was drawn for, then the artist can turn around, autograph it, and sell it as an NFT. And that would actually bring in more money to his or her household. Now, if they take that away, then all the artists that do that at Comic Cons and everything else will not be allowed to do so. And the only reason why they're doing this, from what I'm looking at now, is because when the $69 million purchase of a digital mosaic NFT happened, Marvel and DC were like, look, if it's going to be basically properties that we own that are going to be sold for this amount of money and we don't get a piece of the pie, then it's not happening at all. And that's really what the bottom line is. Creators have always had the power to sell the originals directly, said Jason Shader in an interview. The New Jersey-based comic dealer said it's been that way for decades, with Marvel and DC permitting artists to sell original prints of their work once it's been published. Wow, this is beautiful. This looks like Kirby right here. Jack Kirby was fucking awesome. And if I'm correct, what led to that was Kirby's legal wranglings as he tried to regain ownership of his earlier work from Marvel. Of course, as Pipeline notes, it's a lot more complicated than we think. So now in an era where corporatism is turning everything into a joke, artists risk losing permission to sell what they drew based on corporate-owned creations, proving once again why in the long run, selling all these famous products to conglomerates was a mistake in the making. Now that DC, Marvel, and a lot of other companies are now corporately owned, a lot of the artists that made money just made money drawing their properties, they are now not allowed to do that anymore. So this is actually a big blow to the comic book industry. Illustrators who spoke to Bloomberg said their recent concerns with NFTs were part of a broader reservations around whether the comic book industry's grasp of digital publishing posed a risk to future earnings. Parallel to this, some said was the issue of how creators are paid for their contribution to the success of Hollywood movie franchises at that. So, of course, I think any big company that comes and wants to take that in just sort of wants to strangle the artist a little bit, Pryor said. Still, no artist interviewed for the story said that they plan to cease working for the big two companies. Maybe that's a mistake. They've come so artistically bankrupt and even today can still impose limits on sex appeal, not to mention hire other artists whose styles is much worse and divisive politics are still prevalent in their storytelling. There are more writers and artists who are leaving the big two's employ of recent, including the liberal ones, going more for independent products. And maybe this is news that will encourage more to recognize why a publisher run by a conglomerate doesn't make a good place to work for. Although whether or not they're allowed to make money from artists based on superheroes, they actually shouldn't let these issues discourage them from drawing illustrations wholesale. But if they continue, it shouldn't be only for variant covers, it should be for picture frames to hang on the walls and galleries. Wow. I'm not forgetting, of course, that the above subject can surely complicate such matters, but that's how artwork should really be done, because for its variant covers, chances are higher that it'll end up locked away in someone's vault where it won't be seen by anybody. Do artists who consider themselves talented really want to produce their art for that? And that's a good question. So basically, now that this is happening, what's going to happen is if anybody's caught selling any kind of NFTs that are Marvel and DC related, they're probably going to get sued for that. And I think once they get sued, their name's going to be ran through the dirt, and a lot of other shit's going to come from it. Because that's how these companies do nowadays. They just don't sue you. They try to slander your name and fucking drag you through the dirt. It'll be a lot of that bullshit going on if somebody gets caught. But other than that, it's just kind of fucked up that the comic book industry, the big two in the comic book industry, is actually trying to take away how a person makes a living. Because I'll tell you this, drawing comic books doesn't really make shit from what I've heard. So how else is an artist supposed to be making extra money if he relies on his art to supply, the money necessary in order to fuel his household or her household? So that's a lot to think about. It's fucked up that it's went this way. And now that you see that web comics and digital comic books are trying to make a step, and I'm telling you, nothing will ever take the place of having an original comic book. So you can sit there and do your web comics, you can sit there and do your digital, but nothing will ever overtake the sales from an actual real comic book. And that's my opinion. It's crazy to see that they made $69 million off of digitally comic mosaic NFT. But now that people are seeing that kind of money could be made, you're going to see a lot of other things going in that direction. And this stopping the NFT is just the start of it. But you guys let me know what you think about this in the comment section below. Please share, like, and subscribe if you haven't already. It's your boy, 24/7 here with 24/7 Fusion Media, and I'm out. Peace.